Okay, let's unpack this. Today's deep dive takes us into the world of language models, specifically a family of smaller models called SmolLM. You sent over some really interesting material on a new data set called Smoltalk and how it's pushing the boundaries of what these smaller models can do. We're going to break it down and see what makes it tick using the HuggingFaceTB Smoltalk dataset card from HuggingFace.
What's really intriguing here is that these small M models, despite their size, are going toe-to-toe with, and even surpassing, models trained on those massive data sets we've all heard about. It's a real David and Goliath situation, which is why this whole thing caught my eye.
It definitely makes you wonder, how are they achieving these results? The dataset card highlights the efficiency and accessibility of SmolLM, but what does that actually mean for someone who wants to use these models?
Think of it this way. Larger language models are like those giant supercomputers, only accessible to a select few. SmolLM aims to make this technology available to a much wider range of people, from researchers and developers to individual hobbyists. Imagine being able to run these powerful models on your own computer. That's the kind of accessibility they're aiming for.
So Smoltalk is kind of like the secret ingredient that makes this possible.
Exactly. It's a carefully crafted recipe of data, mixing different data sets with specific focuses. Rather than just one huge chunk of information, it includes components for general conversation, teaching the models to follow specific instructions, even specialized data sets for things like rewriting and summarizing text.
It's like having a Swiss Army knife of data sets, each tool designed for a specific purpose. You mentioned instructions. What does that entail in the context of language models?
Imagine being able to tell a model, hey, I need you to rewrite this paragraph but make it sound more casual. Or give me a 3-bullet-point summary of this article. That's what instruction following is all about. Teaching these models to understand and respond to human commands, like a helpful assistant.
That's pretty mind-blowing. But looking at Smoltalk's components, one that jumps out is Small Magpie Ultra. It sounds pretty intense.
That's the heart of Smoltalk. It's massive, boasting over 400,000 samples generated using a really sophisticated pipeline called Magpie. What sets us apart is that it's not just about quantity, it's about quality. The researchers have meticulously curated and filtered the data, which plays a huge role in why SmolLM is performing so well.
It's like training for a marathon. You wouldn't just run randomly, you'd follow a carefully structured plan with the right workouts. So how does Magpie actually work its magic to create such high-quality data?
It uses a multi-step process. That involves generating text, ranking it based on quality, filtering out the noise, and then refining what's left. Think of it like a sculptor chiseling away at a block of marble, gradually revealing a masterpiece. The end result is a data set that's incredibly rich and focused, allowing SmolLM to learn more effectively.
Okay, so we've got this ultra-powerful core data set, but what about those other components, like small constraints, small rewrite, and small summarize? What are they bringing to the table?
These are where the real-world applications start to shine through. Small constraints is all about teaching the model boundaries. Imagine telling a model, write a poem, but it has to be exactly 10 lines long. Or make sure this summary includes these specific keywords. That's the kind of control this data set enables.
So it's not just about generating any old text. It's about generating text that meets specific criteria. That opens up a whole world of possibilities.
Absolutely. Then you have small rewrite and small summarize, which are all about making our lives easier. Imagine having a model that can instantly adapt your writing style for different audiences, or condense lengthy articles into concise summaries. The potential time saving here is huge.
It sounds like Smoltalk is giving these smaller models a real edge. But we've mainly been talking about the technical aspects. What about the bigger picture? How does this all fit into the landscape of language models and AI as a whole?
That's a great question, and it leads us to a really important point: the impact this could have on the field. What we're seeing with Smoltalk and SmolLM is a potential paradigm shift. For a long time, powerful language models have been exclusive to big tech companies with massive resources. This could democratize access to these tools, empowering a whole new wave of innovators.
So it's not just about building better language models, it's about making them accessible to everyone. That's a pretty revolutionary concept.
It really is.
Yeah.
It leads to a surge in creativity and innovation as more people are able to experiment with and build upon these technologies. And it could even level the playing field for smaller businesses, allowing them to utilize AI tools that were previously out of reach.
This is getting really exciting. But before we get too carried away with the future, let's dive deeper into those specific SmolLM models trained on Smoltalk and see what they can actually do. What are some of the models you're most interested in?
There are quite a few. But the ones that really stand out
Mm.
are Llama Smoltalk 3.2-1b Instruct
Mm.
and Prithviva ML Mons Llama Smoltalk 3.2-1b Instruct GGUUF. The names might sound intimidating, but they actually tell us a lot about each model. They're both based on the Llama architecture, with variations in size and how they've been fine-tuned for instruction following.
Okay, so we've got these different flavors of small m, each with its own strengths and capabilities. Before we jump into the specifics, though, let's take a step back and talk about how we actually measure the performance of these models. I'm seeing mentions of benchmarks, like ifeval and MT-bench in the dataset card. What are those all about?
Benchmarks are essentially standardized tests for language models, providing a way to compare their performance across different tasks and data sets. They measure things like accuracy, fluency, and how well a model can follow instructions. So, for example, ifeval focuses on how well a model can understand and execute instructions, while MT-bench is a suite of benchmarks for evaluating machine translation.
So it's like having a report card for each model, showing how they stack up against the competition. Based on these benchmarks, how are the smaller models performing? Are they living up to the hype?
The results are really impressive, especially for models trained on small Magpie Ultra. They're consistently outperforming models trained on much larger data sets, like OpenHermes and Magpie Pro. Across several key benchmarks, it really goes to show that size isn't everything when it comes to training these models. The quality and relevance of the data play a crucial role in achieving high performance.
So it's not just about throwing more data at the problem, it's about using the right data. But what does this all mean for someone like me or anyone out there who might not be a data scientist or AI expert? How could these advancements impact our lives?
That's a great question, and it leads us to the next part of our deep dive. We'll unpack the potential applications of these models, discuss their broader implications for society, and consider what the future might hold for this rapidly evolving field. So stay tuned, because things are about to get even more interesting.
I'm definitely hooked. This has been a fascinating journey so far, and I'm eager to see where it takes us next. All right, we're back and ready to explore the real-world implications of what we've learned about small LM and Smoltalk. You mentioned earlier that this could be a game changer for smaller businesses. Can you expand on that a bit?
Absolutely. Think about tasks that often require a lot of time and resources, like crafting marketing copy, responding to customer inquiries, or even generating reports. Traditionally, these tasks have either been handled manually or have required expensive software solutions. But with smaller, more accessible language models, these capabilities could be put directly into the hands of smaller businesses, allowing them to streamline their operations and compete more effectively.
So it's not just about saving time and money, it's about empowering these businesses to do things they might not have been able to do before.
Exactly. Imagine a small online retailer being able to create personalized product descriptions for each customer, or a local restaurant using a language model to manage their social media presence and engage with customers in real time. These are just a few examples of how this technology could level the playing field.
It sounds like there's a real potential for these smaller models to disrupt traditional industries and create new opportunities.
There certainly is. And it's not just limited to businesses. Think about education, for instance. Imagine students having access to AI tutors that can provide personalized feedback and adapt to their individual learning styles. Or writers using these models to brainstorm ideas, overcome writer's block, or even translate their work into different languages.
It's fascinating to consider how this could change the way we learn, create, and interact with the world around us.
Absolutely. And I think one of the most exciting aspects is that we're really just at the beginning of this journey. As these models become more sophisticated and accessible, we can expect even more innovative applications to emerge. It's like we've opened a door to a whole new world of possibilities.
But with any new technology, there are always potential downsides. Are there any concerns or challenges that come along with making these powerful tools more widely available?
Of course. One of the biggest challenges will be ensuring responsible development and use of these models. As we've seen with other AI technologies, there's always the potential for bias, misuse, or unintended consequences.
So how do we mitigate those risks? What steps can be taken to ensure these models are used ethically and for the benefit of society?
I think it starts with promoting transparency and open dialogue. The more we understand how these models work and what their limitations are, the better equipped we'll be to identify and address potential issues.
It's like anything else. Knowledge is power. The more we know about this technology, the better we can navigate its complexities.
Exactly. We also need to develop clear guidelines and best practices for the development and deployment of language models. This includes things like ensuring data privacy, promoting fairness and inclusivity, and mitigating the risk of bias.
It's important to remember that these models are tools. And like any tool, they can be used for good or for ill. It's up to us to shape their development and ensure they're used responsibly.
I couldn't agree more, and I think it's a responsibility we all share. Researchers, developers, policymakers, and even the general public. The future of AI is not something that's predetermined. It's something we're actively creating.
It's a collaborative effort, and it requires a thoughtful and nuanced approach. But shifting gears a bit, I'm curious to learn more about your personal experience with these models. What has surprised you the most in working with SmolM and Smoltalk?
What has struck me the most is the sheer ingenuity behind the design of Smoltalk. The creators of this dataset have really thought outside the box, pushing the boundaries of what's possible with smaller language models. They've recognized that it's not just about brute force computing power, but about carefully crafting the right data and training methods to unlock the full potential of these models.
It's a reminder that innovation often comes from finding creative solutions within constraints, not just from throwing more resources at a problem.
Precisely. And I think this is a valuable lesson that extends beyond the realm of AI. It's about challenging assumptions, experimenting with new approaches, and finding ways to achieve remarkable results even when working with limited resources.
That's an inspiring message, and it brings us back to the core purpose of this deep dive, exploring new ideas and discovering unexpected insights. Before we wrap up, though, I'd love to get your take on where you see this technology heading in the next few years. What trends are you most excited about?
One trend I find particularly compelling is the growing focus on personalization and customization. Imagine language models that are specifically tailored to your individual needs and preferences, capable of generating content that's uniquely relevant to your interests and goals. This could revolutionize everything from how we consume information to how we express our creativity.
It's like having a personal AI assistant that understands you better than you understand yourself.
In a way, yes. And I think this level of personalization will also lead to a greater emphasis on user-friendliness and accessibility. We'll see more intuitive interfaces and tools that make it easier for anyone, regardless of their technical expertise, to harness the power of these models.
So it's not just about making the models themselves smaller and more efficient. It's about making them more accessible to a wider range of users.
Absolutely. And I think this will open up a whole new world of possibilities, allowing people from all walks of life to benefit from the power of AI. We could see a surge in citizen developers creating their own AI-powered applications, artists using these models as creative collaborators, and even educators integrating them into personalized learning experiences.
That's a very optimistic outlook, and it paints a picture of a future where AI is truly democratized and empowering. But before we get too carried away with future predictions, let's bring it back to the present. We still have much to explore with the specific SmolMem models and their capabilities.
You're right. Let's delve into some of the models that have caught your eye and explore how they're being used to address real-world challenges.
Sounds like a plan. Stay tuned, folks. As we continue our deep dive into the world of cutting-edge language models, we're back and I'm ready to dive into some specific examples of these SmolLM models in action. Earlier you mentioned Llama Smoltalk 3.2-1b instruct and Preethi VML Matslama Smoltalk that's 3.2-1b instruct GGUF. What makes these stand out from the crowd?
These models are particularly interesting because they've been specifically fine-tuned for instruction following. That means they're really good at understanding and responding to human commands. You can give them a specific task, like summarizing a news article or rewriting a paragraph in a different style, and they'll try their best to deliver.
So it's like having a personal assistant who can understand your instructions and execute them in a way that's relevant to your needs.
Exactly. And what's really exciting is that these smaller instruction-following models are proving to be incredibly versatile. They can be used for a wide range of tasks, from generating creative content to automating repetitive tasks to helping us understand complex information.
That versatility is really key, isn't it? Because it means these models have the potential to be useful in so many different contexts.
Absolutely. Think about someone who's working on a research project, for example. They could use an instruction-following model to quickly summarize key findings from multiple articles, or even generate potential research questions based on existing data.
It's like having a research assistant who can sift through mountains of information and pinpoint what's most relevant to your work.
Precisely. Or imagine a writer using one of these models to brainstorm ideas for a new story. They could give the model a few prompts, like the genre, setting, or characters they have in mind, and the model could generate a list of potential plot points or dialogue snippets.
It's like having a creative partner who can help you push